Hello, this is the INFJ Visionary. The subject of today's video is the INFJ inner world, and I think that should be a nice topic. We're going to hit on other things too. It seems to me the inner world is what we are. It's almost all we are. We're having experiences of the external world, and we're cataloging things, and we're making notes. I think we make a lot of notes about how other people operate. I think we're always curious to find out more about other people. I don't think people are as curious to understand how we operate. I think there are a couple exceptions to that, and those would be the NF types. They seem to be at least a little bit curious about how we operate. At least they like us, and they like talking to us, and they like hanging out with us. So that's a plus. Are there other types that like hanging out with us? I think so. It depends on how much of our inner world that we reveal to them. And of course, everyone has an inner world. I don't really claim to know much about how other people operate interiorly, but if you're an INFJ and you have the same preferences for dealing with reality as I do, it would be somewhat similar, even though we have different life experiences, different ancestry. We could be a different sex. All of these things are going to play upon the personalities that we exhibit. But our inner structure is going to be remarkably similar. We're plugged into the NI abyss, the NI field, the NI framework, matrix, whatever you want to call it, and that is connected to the entire universe. So, not saying that we have infinite ways to know about infinite things. Clearly, we do not. There's lots of things we don't know and don't understand. But you never know. Anything that's somewhat within our reach or just beyond our reach, we have access to. And this is the field of NI. After that, of course, we have the pesky extroverted feeling component, which I call pesky because I think for us it's predominantly experienced in the negative sense. I have known an ENFJ. I've probably known lots of ENFJs, but only one that I knew for sure was an ENFJ because they took the test. And for them, that extroverted feeling component is an enjoyable thing. The give and take of, and I'm not saying I don't enjoy people, I do, but I think a lot of how the extroverted feeling component tends to work for us is predominantly as sort of a warning function. Watch out for this, watch out for that. Oh, this person's feeling bad. And I don't know about you, but it's incredibly painful for me to be around somebody that has a bad attitude, that is a negative person. And this is the extroverted feeling component. I don't know how that is for the ENFJ. Probably maybe it's worse for them. I don't know. Perhaps us being more introverted, we have some sort of refuge that we could take in the NI. After that, of course, it's always good to talk about these functions because they're all operative, and it'll all tie back into the INFJ inner world because this is how our inner world is structured. Now, right underneath the extroverted feeling component, and some people, there's a hierarchy, but and it's not a hierarchy where the introverted thinking is going to be higher than extroverted feeling, but they can be nearly equal. And we constantly get underestimated for our ability to be logical and to reconcile opposites and to make a strategic plan, be organized. Although, just speaking for myself, maybe some of you are more organized than I am, but I think INFJs are, I have read somewhere long ago that we are the least organized of the organized types, and I think that's true. But you're still an organized type. You're still able to structure and organize things. And then lastly, we have the extroverted sensing, which is, I was going to make that the topic of today's video, but I don't think it's justified its whole own video yet. And that's predominantly for us experienced as, of course, the beauty of nature and all of the experiences that we have. I don't think, just again, always, I'm not even going to tell you I'm speaking for myself. Obviously, who else can I speak for? That's what you call hedging. I'm not going to hedge on this channel. I'm just going to give it to you, and then I do have echoes of hedging involved. But we we experience reality, but it's a bit at arm's length, and much of the time, the things that get all the way through the buffer and really reach us are the hedonistic pleasures, and that could be the eating and drinking and dalliances with partners and other uh, erotic sort of stimulation. You know that can be something that really bites us on the butt because we don't always have a very good ability to understand or contain this extroverted sensing component. Whereas the introverted thinking component, like I was saying in the previous broadcast, is like a child function. It's very innocent. It tells things like it is. It sees things and it knows truth. Our extroverted sensing function, I don't really even understand it. And so I can't talk much about it other than say I sense things and I experience reality. And as far as I know, it's as real as anyone else's reality. But when I observe people, I see somehow they're picking up context and content, context and content that I am not actually getting. What I seem to be getting is more of like a echo or something like I said earlier, where it seems that the reality is at arm's length. What is not is at arm's length is our inner reality, our thoughts, our perceptions, our intuitions, and so much of the time, like I was saying, I knew I was interested in the word intuition when I was younger, but I didn't really realize that I was using that as my primary function for navigating reality. The great analogy is like a fish in water doesn't realize what water is, just like we don't really perceive air or oxygen, we just are in it. And I is very much like that. The intuitive function is very much like that. And that is, of course, the primary foundation of our interior reality. So we're getting the connections, the stimulations, the ideas, um, and notions about how things are going to go. Um, that's all fed up underneath with the extroverted feeling component coming in from people, so we can navigate political situations. We could be, and I've said this before, we could be the class president. We know how to be popular if we want to be. I personally am way more interested in authenticity than I am in popularity. For me, it's a lot of trade-offs to be popular. You have to really follow that guidance of the extroverted feelings, like, oh, this person doesn't want to hear that, and the other person definitely doesn't want to hear this other thing. So I'll just say the sorts of things that I know they want to hear. And you may not think of it that way, but it's very manipulative, and that is something I got to be careful of. That's very much using the extroverted feeling component in a negative way, too, I should say. Whereas, again, for the ENFJ, I think it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? They're genuinely happy to feel other people's energy, and I maybe they're tortured as well. I don't know. The ENFJ I did know was of like Dutch descent, and they're naturally a bit guarded. So I haven't really queried him ever too much about what life is like for him. But our inner world, obviously rich. Obviously, I think everything. And when we make art and when we communicate, we try to bring some of that out into external reality. And some people definitely appreciate it. In some cases, we create art that everyone resonates with and appreciates. So that's valuable. And we have our bit to contribute to the structure of our shared reality, no doubt. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, um, well, watch another one. I would say like and comment, but do what you want. And until I come back with another video, this is the INFJ Visionary signing off.